Welcome to the Salt Circle Podcast. My name is Hank. With me is Bangelica the Jinx.
You can just do X-Men, huh? That one was no.
Here to podcast for a world that fears and hates him.
Man, that was like my ultimate. What a terrible episode. It's like the antithesis of what I want. Like, you know how I am about high school plots, and that's like the quintessential. Like,
let's take like really what they're adapting, like one of the greatest issues of Spider-Man of all time. Nothing can stop the Juggernaut, or Spider-Man fights Juggernaut. And then they're just attaching to it like the worst backstory for Firestar about this girl who just fucking hated her for no reason.
When I've never felt like so, I don't even know what I felt. It like permeated my soul when one of the fucking high school minions is like, Angelica, or no, not Angelica. What's her name? Bessie? Betty? Bissy? Bussy? Whatever the fuck her name was. The bitch. They're like, aren't we a little old for name calling? I'm like, fucking thank you. Finally. Holy shit.
No, this blood feud will never end.
I was laughing my ass off, though, when they were... So, apparently, I learned something about myself. When this shit's happening in high school, I'm like, this is the worst plot. This is the worst goddamn plot of all time. It's funny. She shows up to the prom, and it's like, well. I'm like, I'm gonna fucking kill somebody. But when they're kids... It circles all the way around to being funny as hell. The best line, I think, out of anything we consumed was, "You're too poor to play with me." I was losing it. You're too poor to play with me. I'm like, finally, someone understands. Oh, shit. It was so fucking good, dude.
That's amazing.
Ridiculous. Fucking goddamn ridiculous.
Yeah. So I think in general, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, that's a bad show.
What's his name? Wilkins, the voice actor is Fred Jones, but he's Iceman.
Frank Welker.
Frank Welker. I got some of the syllables right. He's just doing the same voice. That was great. Juggernaut was insane. Like, Juggernaut started talking. He started talking. I'm like, oh, this is where the money is. Like, this dude he's somebody. And I looked him up. He's like an opera singer or something. I'm like, yeah, there it is. Like, dude is fucking cracked. It's so good.
Yeah. Well, I think that show's bad. These 2 episodes we watch are the only 2 episodes of that show I care about.
Sure.
Because my friends had them on VHS, so I've seen these episodes like an infinite number of time. So every fucking line of these cartoons and Pryde of the X-Men is burned into my fucking brain. So it's like meme after meme for me. Like every line in these episodes is just like, yeah, that's when Wolverine says, "Want a piece of fruit?" When Cyclops says, "Juggernaut."
Oh my god, I was like, what the fuck happened in the booth? No, there was some great fucking wonk. But I was wondering, I'm like, are these like, why am I here? But like, they're amazing in that way for sure.
Yeah.
By the way, we did X-Men stuff. In case it wasn't obvious.
We did it. This is an X-Men primer episode. We read a few comics. We watched some of the earliest animated versions of the X-Men, including these 2 episodes of Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, the Pryde of the X-Men short, and then like the first 4 episodes of the X-Men animated series.
Yeah.
Because, like, these 2 episodes of Spider-Man's Amazing Friends are basically, like, they're also, like, secret pilots for potential X-Men shows that never got made, which is also what Pryde of the X-Men is, of just like the kind of garbage tier 80s Marvel animation that's just like swimming around. Like the Pryde of the X-Men short got made with budget that was supposed to go to the last episode of Marvel's RoboCop cartoon. That they just made that instead.
Yeah, fuck it.
As they were like just trying to, like leapfrog from one thing to another.
Yeah.
Although they made that without really having any plan for it other than putting it on a VHS tape.
I mean, that fucking theme is banging. That was like, I've listened to it without having ever gone out of my way to watch the full pilot. I've seen that theme so many times because it's just it fucking slaps. It's like a power metal template.
And it's like, so like mostly I think this started because you wanted to do that, and then me like building out the episode backwards from there to like what
did I want to do
go
it?
with.
I don't remember wanting to do shit. Well, because we did House of X and stuff.
Well, I mean,
I've
it's
just
just
been like
you losing your mind about that theme song.
I mean that too, yeah. There's like a
it's like kind of how the Power Rangers episode happened.
I mean, yeah. Was this real? This is just the fucking theme? God damn. All these years hiding it from me?
Because it is kind of funny that we're doing like an X-Men Primer episode after we've done Hoxpox.
Dude, like, I do feel like that was so good. I'll be real. Like, none of this really hit for me a lot.
Yeah, that's fair.
But like, it's one of those things where I'm like, I recognize we're doing like the primer. I'm getting a bit of a base or whatever.
Yeah, this is like educational.
Yeah,
for what it came before.
But like anything. all these characters, they've been around for fucking ever, and there's a billion things of them because it turns out people like the X-Men, so there'll be shit that I like.
Look, it's an excuse for me to make you watch A Firestar's Born.
You know what? I think for those cartoons, it's actually the intro stuff, like how the cartoons start. I feel like is such a good start to a show. Like you have the X-Men that are established, and it's like a new character like entering their world. I mean, you know me, I'm all about that fish out of water shit. So like a new person getting on board, I'm like, this is actually a really solid way to start. If only the rest of it was not wonky. There's good bits though. There's good bits.
Australian Wolverine.
Dude, I was wondering. I'm like, okay.
It's just, they don't know what Canada is.
Dude, my
completely flummoxed by the idea of Canada.
I feel them. Like, it is a mysterious land. I don't like Wolverine. It was my take after doing all this stuff. I'm like, Wolverine kind of sucks. Just based on this little pool of stuff.
Literally the most popular character.
Yeah. I can see why.
Because he's a jerk.
Yeah, he's a little bastard. When he was doing anytime he'd like cross his claws and like do tough stuff, I'm like, I mean, this is why the kids love him. Like I'm watching it in real time. But like, nah. It's not, that ain't me.
He's X-Man.
It's
kids who thought his name was X-Man because they first got an action figure of him that said X-Men, and we were children and couldn't read.
Yeah, it sounds right.
He's X-Man.
I love it when fucking Halo does cool things.
Yep.
Metroid. The person I came away liking a little bit more. Not that I didn't like him, but like we haven't done too much, so I haven't had a ton of context. Charles Xavier. Mostly because like I didn't think I thought he was just a guy. Like he had a vision, he had a dream, and he's like assembling it and nurturing whatever. He fucking made Magneto relive the Holocaust. Like that's pretty fucking hard. Like he went pretty deep, and I was like, that's respect. That's terrible. Didn't think there was
a lot of later X-Men stuff is writers going, hey, isn't Professor Xavier kind of terrible though?
Well, dude, that's the thing. Reading all of these, looking at all this stuff, I'm like, I don't think I've ever encountered more of a thing where I can like kind of see both sides. Like they're not doing great, it seems like. I was a big fan of how I forget the name already. The first thing we did, Giant Size X-Men. I was pretty won over,
which is like the introduction of this like the X-Men as the X-Men, and not just the original 5.
Fucking Xavier's showing up and literally just being like, join me, and people are like, no, and he's like, come on, and they're like, I'm in. Like that whole fucking sequence was too good. So that shit was.
He is kind of like, just like, come on.
He literally like, all right, is. He like,
you son of a bitch.
They barely take any convincing. They're like, I'm in. Damn. And then like the one dude, somebody. I think he's the one from Japan.
I think it's Sunfire,
Sunrise, whatever. he agrees, and they have like a conversation, whatever, and he's all in. He's like, he's gonna come check it out. They're standing there for like all of 3 minutes. He's like, why the fuck did you call me here? What's up? What are we doing? How dare you? He's like so angry about it so fast.
That's true.
I
think he quits the team in the next issue.
I mean, that sounds fucking right.
Yeah, Sunfire.
Okay, yeah. I also thought it was very funny in that how maybe it's just my own bias, but it felt like they did a lot more with Storm's intro in that issue. Like she got way more. Which makes sense.
I mean, they did. Sunfire gets like 2 panels.
Yes.
Storm gets like
fucking pages and pages and pages.
Well, she gets like 2 pages.
Pages and pages and pages. I mean, that's because she's way fucking cooler than him, so tracks.
True.
I think that was my favorite thing that we did, was the giant size.
Giant size?
But that's also because I really think, how is it pronounced? Krakoa?
Krakoa, yeah.
Krakoa? I really like that as a concept. Mm-hmm. And like, I've dealt with some later takes on it, but just the idea of like kind of a living island, like that's a really cool thing to me. Like the island is immune. I love it. So
like this, it's like the center from New Frontier.
I mean, in this it was still fun, even though it was just kind of like.
I love how he just talks like he's a guy.
Yeah, he's just a dude.
But it's like that's the most Marvel Comics thing of like, it's a big monster.
Yeah.
That's like the classic Marvel Comics thing of like, their comics were just all about like big monsters, and then they stumbled into superheroes off the back of that.
Sure. I mean, I guess that was also that plot was also a bit, for everything else that we did in this, it was a bit refreshing because like it was very heavy on the Xavier versus Magneto, same goal ish, different ideas. Not the same goal, but you know, in the 91 comics where Magneto's whole thing is like, I've been peaceful-ish. What are you doing? You're attacking me. And like, I can see like you're the bitch here, but yeah,
that 91
like,
cartoon, that 91 comic is like Magneto returning to supervillain form after having been a good guy, basically.
Yeah,
for a while before that.
And I like that plot doesn't interest me.
No, I mean, we only did that because that first issue is the best-selling comic book of all time.
Oh, I didn't even know.
Like, I've definitely told you.
How
but yeah,
long
that 91
ago?
X-Men. Yeah, that 91 X-Men is like height of the speculator boom. It's X-Men is like the biggest property. It's a new _1. Jim Lee is like one of the biggest artists.
Question.
It's the best-selling comic of all time. So there's so many copies in the world.
I was about to ask. I'm like, so is it a thing where it actually fucking kicked, or is it just like
no?
bought
There
it?
are.
Yeah.
It's not worth anything. There's so many copies of that thing that they sold. So many people bought it. So many people bought multiple copies of it.
That's hilarious. Because like also kind of mid.
Yeah, no. But it
know.
is the origin of those costumes, which then became the ones that they used for the.
Gotcha.
Which like became their 90s outfits, and they're the ones used in the cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And toys in the 90s and stuff.
Gotcha.
All those belts.
all them belts.
Those 90s looks.
I have a question.
Cyclops with his hair showing.
I have a question about Magneto.
And also those designs get used in all the Capcom fighting games of that era too.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Was Magneto always able to, like, he basically controls like the magnetic spectrum or whatever, right? Like he's doing wild shit. Was it always?
Yeah, I would say that that comic is like
that?
leveling up how powerful he is.
Okay. Because I'm looking at him and I'm like, you seem like the type of dude who like came onto the scene and was able to like control exclusively magnetic metals. And now it's gone way beyond that.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad, I was just wondering.
No, and he's like explicitly getting like power boosts in that story.
Yeah.
That's definitely like a leveling up story for him.
Nice.
But like I like he's like an Omega level mutant, which is like their moniker for the highest power level tier of mutants.
Sure.
He's considered still, so he definitely like kept that going forward. Being like absurdly OP.
Yeah, and I I know he's the big baddie of the X-Men. I always forgot.
Again, like a tweener in terms of like being a good guy sometimes, depending on.
Sure. Well, that's because like his.
Because he survived the Holocaust.
I mean, yeah. Like
like look at like when you like think about. Because I don't think surviving the Holocaust is like not a part of his original. When Jack Kirby drew that villain, I don't think that was a part of his story.
Sure.
Because they're like those original, like this is where X-Men becomes the thing that matters. Is like this run that Claremont does coming out of Giant Size X-Men #1.
Okay.
Is where like it starts. He like starts doing it as a long ongoing soap opera that because it's not a book Marvel editorial really cares about. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. It has a lot of freedom, which
yeah,
leads to stuff. But like, as far as like X-Men as a comic that Jack Kirby and Stan Lee created, it is one of the lesser Jack and Stan comics. Like it wasn't a thing that hit. The last like 20 issues, I think, before Giant Size X-Men or something, like were just reprint issues of older X-Men stories. Like it was completely dead as a thing.
That's wild.
Before like this is like bringing it back with like this new idea of like this team that where the members are from all over the world instead of all kind of looking white. Because like whatever idea of like prejudice, which is not really even in the book explicitly, but whatever background idea, it's like Jewish Americans dealing with prejudice kind of thing. So like
sure.
So it exists in a different space, whereas this is more moving it to stuff that's more relevant for the 70s than not that anti-Semitism ever went a fucking way or anything.
Yeah, really?
But just, you know, a thing that's like when you look at it is more like just interesting to look at as a squad, because like also they were like all had the same uniform on that original team.
Yeah,
like they were uniform in look or whatever.
Yeah, no, they got to be distinct.
I think the most interesting OG X-Men story I think is like the original Sentinel story ends with like Cyclops convincing them to flying themselves into the sun. I think that happens. I can't quite remember. But like, you know, Wolverine, Storm, Colossus, these are Nightcrawler, these are the X-Men's that hit.
Yeah.
Because they look cool.
I mean, slight disagree. I kind of don't like any of their... None of them... That's kind of the thing. Like, not a ton of them grab me.
Sure.
But that's very just... I mean, it's complete... like, just bad luck. Like, some of them do. Some of them are, like... It's less about their design. Like, for example, I really like Psylocke. Has absolutely nothing to do with any of her design. It's because I played her in Marvel Superheroes and Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Like, yeah, she's cool. I like her buttons. They're good. I like Colossus, actually. Colossus is fucking cool. I could not figure... What's Jubilee's power, by the way? Speaking of people, is it electric? Is it like
she makes
fireworks?
Like fireworks.
I was trying to figure it out because like sometimes it's fireworks, but then like she has problems with electronics. So I was just trying to. I couldn't tell from the episodes we did like what her exact deal is.
Like explosive energy.
Sure. Why not?
I mean, I think it's also hard to get the correct idea of what Cyclops' powers actually are from watching these cartoons.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't shoot laser beams.
Yeah.
They're not just lasers. They're concussive blasts. If you get hit with his laser eyes, it feels like you're getting punched.
Yeah.
Like hit with a physical thing.
I think
that's how like it's described working, and sometimes they're just laser beams in when they get animated. People forget.
Maybe I was thinking about it. Maybe part of the reason why I'm a little lukewarm on the characters is because like I don't really know anything. Like I don't have anybody's backstory.
No, and we didn't read any good. None of these are good stories with them.
Sure,
like maybe excepting Krakoa,
but like. I know like nothing. Like Superman, I had like the cultural osmosis, right? The only thing I know for like a backstory is Wolverine, and even that like I don't know his backstory. I just remember seeing fucking trailers for the X-Men films in like the mid 2000s, and it's him like strapped into a chair like screaming. That's all I got.
That all comes way later.
Yeah.
Like it's like fucking, I don't remember, it's like 20. It's like a lot of issues before you even get fucking Wolverine's name. And then it's a
Wolverine?
fucking leprechaun calls him Logan, and then you know his name is Logan.
Logan. I was thinking to myself, like, do I even fucking know Wolverine's name? But yeah, there was the movie Logan that should have tipped me off.
Yeah. But the way that's revealed is just a leprechaun calls him Logan, and he's like, "Hey, how do you know that? Know what my name is. I don't fucking tell anybody that."
That's hilarious.
Dude,
I don't know any of their names.
He's the Wolverine, because Wolverine, he was in one comic before this, where he was just a villain of the week in an issue of Hulk. Like, he fought the Hulk, and he was an animal-themed villain who fought the Hulk. And because the artist who drew that also did this, he just reused that design, basically.
Nice.
Of Wolverine. It's basically the thing.
Wild. I mean, I'm excited to do.
But we don't. It's not like we
X-Men
see
stuff.
in the Firestar is Born. You do not see Wolverine at his best when he gets his fucking claws stuck in a wall and he can't get them out. I would not call that peak Wolverine content. But it is, the first adaptation of Wolverine.
Yeah.
So, this is where he started. What a piece of fruit is peak, though. That's peak Wolverine.
I mean, I was just laughing the whole time at fucking Iceman. Come on, game.
Sure.
Fucking just this. There's like no difference. It's just Fred, dude.
Uh-huh. He doesn't have an ascot.
That would be so good if he had an ascot. That would be absolute peak. Holy shit.
Yeah. And Firestar is originally from that show, because like theoretically it would have been the Human Torch.
Okay.
Because they wanted a girl, and maybe just because of, I think just because they wanted a girl, maybe because of rights things with the Fantastic Four, I'm not sure. They just invented Firestar.
Dude, I assume you know what, I'll backfill as a Star Wars fan. I'm good at that. Her powers were like weird. They were weird in that they were like on and off. Like, she wants to help build the snowman, and she touches the snowman, and the snowman melts like immediately. But then she goes home and her dad hugs her, and it's fine. And I was like, "What's up? What's happening here?" Shit's not adding up.
Mm-hmm. It's because it's a cartoon that doesn't care.
I care. Excuse you. Actually. How am I the fan?
Yeah, I looked it up. I think it's rights issues, which is why it was not the Human Torch.
Fucking classic. A tale as old as time.
Although I know on one of the Human Torch might have even had different ones, because I think on one of the Fantastic Four cartoons they couldn't even use the Human Torch.
Jesus.
So when they invented Herbie the robot to replace him.
Yeah. Instead of a guy who fucking ignites, what do we need? Give him a Herbie.
A little robot buddy.
Yeah. Dude, speaking of little buddy, what was the little was it in Pryde of the X-Men? There was a little dragon.
Mm-hmm.
Like a little snarf character.
Lockheed.
Yeah, Snarf. We got that weird, like, there was like
I think he's named for Lockheed Martin, the weapons company.
I mean, that makes sense. Yeah, I could see it.
It's so funny that Lockheed is in that cartoon because his origin is so fucking complicated and weird. He's from a dream world.
Oh. Just chilling. What was the deal with the little Frankenstein's assistant, Igor, or whatever? The guy was like, "Yes, master," and he just like climbs up the fucking thing. And he's like, "Did I do good?"
That's just Toad.
No, that's not what Toad. That's not Toad. Don't fucking do Toad like that.
I think you're talking about Toad. I don't.
He's wearing like he literally just looks like a Frankenstein's assistant. I mean, I could just X-Men.
This was in Pryde of the X-Men?
I believe. Yeah. Okay, it was Toad.
Yeah, it's Toad.
How do you have to question whether that's who I'm thinking of? He looks like Frankenstein's assistant. He has the little like weird cowl on. Oh, they changed that a lot. Does he have a tongue?
I mean, I was pretty sure it was Toad, but you insisted no. So
no, I meant like Toad Mario. Like that's not the real Toad. That's not what Toad sounds like. Toad is like.
This is his name is Toad.
Yeah,
that is the name of that character in X-Men.
My joke.
Toad.
My joke was thousands of miles off base.
Gotcha. Gotcha.
That's not my Toad.
Well, this Toad.
He was weird.
I think
he was. He was weird. He was lame. Like Magneto looks so fucking cool in that cartoon. Like he looks so cool, and then he's just like, there's just a fucking this guy.
Toad was probably my favorite of the evil mutants. When
really?
I was a kid. Yeah, because he's just a weird frog guy.
Just a weird little guy.
He's just a weirdo. I love weirdos.
I mean, true.
He's like Gollum.
We got the fucking blob. You can't move the blob.
I wouldn't dream of trying.
I mean, that's
that caller just teleporting past him is so good.
Honestly, like that's the coolest part of X-Men, like that universe and stuff. Which also, I guess it's like a double-edged sword. It's kind of the most infuriating part for me is that like there's so many mutants that get introduced, like. Mm-hmm. No, and it's just like everything goes. Like, isn't there someone who like shits ice cream or something? They have like the lamest power of all time. But like there are mutants who have incredible who are not powerful. Yes. Yeah, and it's fucking great that they like there's just so much. And it's like that's really cool for like I don't know, character space or whatever. On the other hand, it sucks because you get like the lady that can control plants, and she's like an E-list character that shows up in 3 comics across 10 years or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the variety.
Or it leads to your immortal enemy, too many new characters. Who are all these new guys?
I mean, yeah. If they like... I guess over time that would become a thing, like no matter what. But if it's like in the context of a run or something, I don't know. That's like my whole problem in general, though. They're making me read stuff to understand. You gotta keep reading.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But like that is definitely a thing with X-Men comics where you'll read like a particular run and get really invested in these particular characters, and then some of them will just never show up in any other X-Men stuff.
Oh, I can
really
imagine.
Or like they just won't. It'll never matter again in the same way. They mattered like in this era,
mm-hmm.
And then they're just kind of a background cameo character after that.
Yeah.
It just happens to characters.
I was wondering, I assume, like, is there like, is there single character like runs, or are they just, even if it's like this is just about Wolverine or something, are they like,
Wolverine has definitely had his own ongoing for long time.
I know there's the single character stuff, but is the single character, because it's X-Men and everything, like, and it's comics, are they steeped in like other shit? Like, oh, it's Wolverine's solo run, but also you got to read 800 issues of other shit that it weaves in and out of. Because this seems like a series where that would happen a lot.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Damn.
Totally.
I mean, I knew it, but damn.
I mean, ultimately, the thing I would love to do is really deep dive on this one era of X-Men stuff. That is what I care about the most, because it's the part that I got the most into. But I do think that that's having the understanding the stuff that came before it is like more important for getting why this is the same and different. Is more important for that era than it was for Hoxpox.
Gotcha.
Like, Hoxpox felt like more like this is a new idea. This is an easier onboard. Whereas like the era that I really care about is extremely like deep in what was going on in Marvel Comics at the time, and is interesting in the way that it's like a response to the X-Men stories that came before it, like, and like the setting of X-Men before it. Or
like what time period was this from?
Early 2000s.
Okay. Right.
It kind of starts post 90s, and then it really like it's, so they're like books that, so I would say, lead into it more than others, but
okay.
But like post 90s X-Men is where, honestly, I just think X-Men got more interesting, because the 90s are so steeped in, or the 90s are like in that weird spot where the X-Men are the most popular thing, but there's no good writers at the like steering wheel. Like the storytelling just isn't good.
Gotcha.
Like the main X-Men writer, Scott Lobdell, on top of also having been out of his piece of shit, was just not a very good writer. So I also don't have to feel bad that his comics were all fucking extremely mid. But yeah, like the big story lines of the X-Men in the 90s are Age of Apocalypse, which is all the books get overtaken into a year-long event that's like the post-apocalyptic future where every apocalypse is won and everything's awful, and Professor X is dead. And it just and it isn't even really a story. It's just like meanders for like a year in the setting.
Great.
Like all the plot, if we want to talk about plot that's in it, it's like 2 issues, at the one at the start and the one that ends it. But that's like the well-remembered event thing of 90s X-Men, really.
Gotcha.
And the other big one is Onslaught, which which we did the last issue
Yeah,
of.
we did like the last, right.
Literally the last issue, because that was the first one I bought. That's what my onboarding was.
Dude, I don't even remember.
And that
which
one crosses
is.
over with all of Marvel in a way that X-Men never did, but and sometimes still doesn't.
This shit has left my brain. X-Men.
What, Onslaught?
Yeah.
Remember the Hulk punches him and then breaks his armor, and then he's like becomes a higher level universe being.
Hulk punch. I mean, I think I'm just not finding the thing. Maybe this is it.
No, that's a bad version of the image.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm finding like a lot of things that fit the bill but aren't what we read.
That's the image, but it's just a little low res. But I think it's good enough, maybe for a vague refresher.
Nope, nothing.
Wow.
Did I like it? Was it good? I probably liked it.
Yeah.
I do like when the
That's
Hulk
pretty good.
punches shit. That sounds like something up my alley. The life of a walnut memory and reading a lot of comics, I guess.
Just imagine, there's so many other comics we also could have read.
Yeah. I mean, like, just for doing Labyrinth, like, every time we do a Labyrinth, that there's, like, between 3 and 5 things that we didn't read.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
I was telling someone about that, about, like, just the concept, and because I had mentioned Kingdom Come. And I was like, yeah, like my friend just shows me covers of stuff, and I fucking saw Kingdom Come, and I was like locked when he showed me the art, because he mentioned who's the artist again?
Alex Ross.
Yeah, he's like, that was my onboard to Alex Ross. I'm like, well, yeah, that shit's amazing. That's a great onboard.
That was the cover. That on
Cover looks familiar. Like, I know as soon as like Onslaught, like I know we read it, you know. I just there's a lot of heroes fighting a lot of baddies in the history of this podcast.
What?
Also, it helps doing like
This was the one of the big splash pages also.
oh, okay. Because we got shirtless
talked about that
Thor, right?
Because just that idea of like all these heroes standing together on one page
Yeah,
was like a huge deal for me at the time.
yeah. Hell yeah,
Got
dude.
Bone
Nah,
Cause Wolverine. Because Magneto ripped out his adamantium.
Yeah, no, I remember
Dr.
this
Doom,
page.
we got Shirtless Thor.
Dr. Doom. Like, Shirtless Thor was, like, the one. I mean, Shirtless Thor with Storm hanging off of his arm, like, that's a phone background, baby. It's a fucking Conan-esque shit that I'm about.
Drawn by the artist who also drew that issue where you saw Storm was two different characters.
Look. It looked like two different characters. It did. Her hair was totally different. I thought like it was
just,
sister or something.
she was just in a pool in one of them.
I didn't know that she got out of the pool so fast and put her hair up or whatever. Whatever, man.
Anyway,
They're gonna give Storm like a sister that looks like that or something, and they're gonna retcon it. I'm gonna be validated. That's how it's gonna go down.
that's never. Nope.
Well, I can dream.
Storm is a character who gets to have different haircuts sometimes.
And it's confusing. I don't like it. They got to be in costume at all times, or I lose track of who I'm following.
I haven't read any Mohawk Storm comics yet.
Oh, that's right. I remember you mentioning she had a mohawk at some point.
Yeah. It's a thing that happens at the Claremont run eventually. Because dude just writes that book for the entirety of the 80s. And half the 70s. And he's the writer on those issues we read for this time, but he's about to get power played off that book by Jim Lee.
Hell yeah. Got to make those moves.
And then later on, he gets to write comics that are like X-Men comics, but what if he never got taken off X-Men? And they're awful. They're like really bad.
Great. Perfect.
So nobody remembers those.
That's funny.
They're just not good
Mm.
or interesting. Like they're just really boring and bad. It's like, yep, you sure were out of ideas. Okay.
Oh, that shit's
But you felt
wild.
ownership of these characters you basically invented over the course of like 2 decades.
I mean, this has kind of made me think of, because like I don't really have that experience firsthand necessarily, right? Especially not like the only things I can think of are maybe some of like the Star Wars stuff that we did. Like I think Dr. Aphra they like switched writers or something at some point, but it didn't. I don't think I've had many instances, if any, where there's been like a switch and a drop, or like someone is going and it's bad or it's good, and then like something it's like drastic one way or the other.
Sure. We've read stuff where the writer changed, but you literally can't notice.
That was Dracula, right?
Yes.
Well,
They're like every issue, it's like a new writer in it.
Well, they were just doing it like it was, you know. It's
Yeah.
The only one I can.
It's
think
usually
of,
the bigger one that's noticeable. Usually is like strong art shifts.
Oh yeah,
The
yeah.
art
No,
gets
there's
notably worse.
definitely been some of those.
But like usually there just isn't, like for this kind of show, like there isn't a reason to like, if the writer changed in the next issue, to then read that issue. Like that is an easy way to not cover a thing.
Dude, like I was gonna say the only actual experience I can think of is reading Warlord, originally by Mike Grell, and he does like 50 issues or something like that. I want to say 52, 53, or he does like maybe it's 30 or 40, and then like he's doing some stuff and helping out, and he's still like influencing it, and then is completely off. And I was reading it, and literally like the first issue that he's not in it at all, except mentioned as like the creator, like they have the main character they have someone pretend to be the main character, like some shape-shifting shit or something, and he like beats the main character's wife. She's like, he never gets mad like that, and in the past like she would beat his ass, like she wouldn't be taking that shit, and she's just like, meh. I'm like, I'm fucking out. Like just a hard pass. And then I happened to read, he did like a revisit thing or like an anniversary thing. And he literally just used it as an opportunity. Like, I happened to read out that issue, and that's where he picked up or something. Like, he picked up essentially where he left off and, like, finished it out the way he wanted to in, like, 10 issues or 15 instead of them doing another, like, 60.
Yeah.
That's been my only, personal experience.
Yeah. Yeah, like, we had read the issues between, like, 12 through 18 of Ninja Turtles.
Oh,
where, like,
all the...
where an Eastman and Laird are like trading off and the art is changing every issue.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, we just don't need to read this.
Yeah.
It's fine.
I read some of that. I read about some of the shit that like they're just gets real wonky.
Yeah. It's just not as good.
Yeah. Oh, dude, our thing was like, I was even thinking about that while reading this and like doing this primer stuff. I'm like, man, Turtles kind of overshadowed this just because like that stuff all bangs so hard.
Yeah.
My expectations are maybe a little higher for this one coming off of that. Not that it's bad or anything, obviously, but
yeah,
that Turtle comic is real good.
Yeah, man. I think like the closest thing to like, I mean, besides, like Giant Size is a real thing, and we did read the issue where they play baseball, and they do indeed play baseball in that comic. It's also happens to like basically be the plot of that amazing Spider-Man's Amazing Friends episode, the other one that we watched. So that's kind of the reason I picked that one.
Mm-hmm.
Of like someone coming in and taking over the danger room. Although there's no, what was it, Maze of Terror or whatever in the cartoon? Maze of Madness. The Maze of Madness.
Maze of Madness.
In which, when I'm watching that episode, I'm like, Professor X, why did you build a Maze of Madness to get to your attic?
Look.
The fuck is wrong with you?
Sometimes you get a little drunk on the ability to do a thing.
The fact that all those death traps are things Professor X built to be in that building is so funny to me.
Oh, that shit's good.
The Maze of Madness is even more dangerous than the danger room. That is danger right in the title.
Not to be confused with the war room.
And then he's like, yeah, we'll just take the elevator. That'll work. That'll be fine.
Dude, there was so much stuff with the danger room, actually. Was it? It must have been. Yeah, it must have been Pryde of the X-Men. Because she's the one she phases, right?
Yeah.
Phase through the computer.
Kitty Pryde.
Fucking in the danger room now.
Mm-hmm.
I do love how they said, I don't remember if it was Pryde or if it was 91 or the animated series. But like every time they explain it, they're like, it's a mixture of holograms and like robotics or animatronics or whatever. I'm like, this is just a big fucking net. Like this isn't like this this is a jungle themed net that you have.
That's probably Pryde of the X-Men.
It's just so funny. I mean, it's great. It just like we're doing our little explanations. I'm like, okay.
At least in like the opening for the 90s cartoon, they're like shooting fake sentinels or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Not just like getting trapped in a jungle net.
Yeah.
I shot an amazing Spider-Man is Amazing Friends, where Spider-Man's like in the hole and he's like wiggling. And the missile comes and Firestar like flies by to like pull the heat-seeking rocket.
Yeah,
just very awkward animation. Spider-Man's just there wiggling.
Oh, there was so much awkward
As
animation.
we cut to commercial.
No, that like I didn't know like what year it was or what year it was made, and then it started up. I'm like, this is older than I thought it would be.
Well, it looks older because they're using like character designs from like the 70s cartoon, but it's being made in the 80s.
Yeah. I would like it definitely feels more like 70s or something.
Because there's a regular just Spider-Man cartoon before that this is like the follow-up to.
You know what I was
with that same Spider-Man.
You know what I was thinking in my head as I was watching that, knowing roughly what year or time period it was made. This is like I'm looking at this animation, I'm looking at this art. Urusei Yatsuro was around the same time. Like my most recent thing that I can compare
anime.
it to. Very funny. Well, Urusei Yatsuro also had pretty good, but that was one of the things that made it popular, from what I've read. Like people were watching those episodes and be like, "This looks like OVA level animation," for the time. Like it was really good, apparently.
Okay.
That's what I've
that Spider-Man
read.
cartoon did start in 81. Wow.
Okay.
Their outfits are extremely 70s.
Well, 81, 73.
Yeah.
Man, unrelated to Spider-Man, but related to 90s. You know what someone bodied me with a while back?
What?
Kids right now think of the 90s like, I mean, for me, I'm slightly younger than your ancient ass, but like how I would have thought of the 60s is how kids are thinking of the 90s right now.
Yes.
That one.
I mean, that's just by time.
That's how time. I recognize that the passage of time is happening, but I don't need to be fucking.
Although I don't. I mean, I think that's only true by how the passage of time works. I don't know if it's quite as the same, just because more culture has not been lost to time because of the internet.
Oh, dude, I was actually mentioning after I got hit with that, me and Nani were talking about it a bit, and I was like, is it the same? Because like, think of how much stuff from the 90s is just like on Netflix now or whatever, or like Avatar: The Last Airbender having a fucking revival when that hit Netflix, and it's still as popular as ever. Like people know of it, all that shit. But like that show's going on 20 years old from when it started airing, if I remember right.
Yeah.
It's like 2005.
And I watched a lot of Looney Tunes when I was a child, and that shit's way older. I mean, there was an extent to that. What kids aren't watching the same probably is Looney Tunes. Like the stuff that seemed really old to us is lost in a different way, but
yeah, maybe. I guess it depends on where, because like even when I was watching, like I think Tom and Jerry is still on. I think that still gets played sometimes, though maybe it's different Tom and Jerry now.
Yeah. It also probably depends on like what streaming service.
Oh yeah, like
parents have given them access to.
When I was watching Tom and Jerry, it was on like cable or satellite television. So
yeah,
you know, I don't know if it's on.
Kids are getting their stuff through streaming services more than
my
cable
kids.
TV probably
will not be getting.
But I don't know
any streaming services. They will be getting curated. You know what? It's gonna be great. If when I have kids someday, because I'm gonna tag your ass in to help me design curated like cartoon playlists. Okay, we have Dragon Ball, Sailor Moon, Recess, Airbender. How are we gonna line these up?
Countdown till you give up on that.
I mean, I will be watching those things. I don't think I'm gonna go out of my way to like try to make a fucking. Oh man, the new episode of Dragon Ball is on every day at this time. Let's watch it. It's gonna turn this shit on. I'll go through. I'll take the personal hit of giving my kids the experience of watching the Namek arc over and over and over.
No, but you have to get through the years where they're like really little, and how that will break you in terms of how much control you have over their programmed viewing.
Nah, they'll be fine. Ish. It depends if they take after me or Anya. Anya was a good small child. I was not. We'll see that. I'm just excited to have an excuse to like watch cartoons and like play with action figures. And nobody can stop me. Right now when I do that shit, everybody's like, "Wow, how old are you?" By everybody, I of course mean Anya. But as soon as we have a kid and I'm doing it with the kid, it's like, "Wow, he's an amazing dad." Dude, I'm looking so forward to Legos. Oh my god. My destiny.
It's like, once your kid's like 10 years into being alive, it'll be cool. Maybe 8.
For like watching, for like doing stuff, hanging out or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. I mean, it depends what they look. I'm prepared that like they're gonna probably statistically when they're little they're gonna latch on to some show or movie that I abhor.
First, they're just going to latch on to pooping.
I mean, like whatever. That's like meh. That's just the price you pay. You get a little poop on you. That's fine.
Uh-huh. After 2 years of poop, you just see where you're at in terms of ready to program their media diet.
I'll be fine. I believe in myself. Now, where will this podcast be?
Look, podcast has a timer on it to count down until Ben has a child. I've been aware of this.
It will still maybe happen.
Definitely not once a week.
Once a week will
I don't
be
expect it to.
Look. Anya is leaving for St. Petersburg in like 5 days.
Like nothing.
We just
Nothing we're
need.
doing now has anything to do
We
with
need
this.
to build a backlog. 2 to 3 years of content.
20 years.
20 years. Yeah, get them out of the house. I don't think it'll be. Honestly, I don't think the problem would be recording, because I think I would have to like pull back everything else. Right? Like this would be like I get my hour a week to record or whatever. The time would be strict as hell. The problem would be like the prep. You know? Like if it's like I'm not watching 40 episodes of Dragon Ball. That's just not gonna be feasible. I can watch like an episode of Dragon Ball. Something. Or we just do like the smaller, we do like the comic stuff or something that's like small. But I'm optimistic about things continuing, not necessarily the timeliness of them continuing.
It'll be a different thing.
Yeah.
The show will change. All I can think about is I need another podcast partner. I need someone else
Wow. I'm so replaceable.
You're not. That's the problem. That's the problem. Who else is going to watch an episode of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends just because I put it in front of the bed?
It is true. I'm
not replaceable at all.
I'm very beholden to the what's on the fucking docket. I mean, it's a good balance because, like, other people might abuse that knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
They might put 4 episodes of Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends on, and then where would I be?
That's intolerable. That's intolerable. Staying, like, awake for any other episode of that show is, like, that's asking a lot.
See, like, now I'm fucking curious, though, because it was, like, if this is the best it has, whew.
Yeah, they're not good. Let me tell you.
Oh, man.
They have episodes of Doctor Doom that are just like,
oh, shit. Now, I kind of want to watch a Doctor Doom episode of it now. We should sneak one in somewhere. You know me. I like a little bit of the garbage once in a while, just to see the spectacle.
I mean, this was the garbage.
Yeah, man.
Angelica the Jinx.
You're too poor to play with me. Is gonna fucking. I'm gonna be busting that shit out like nobody's goddamn business.
You wouldn't put that in a kid's show today.
Oh my god! Could you imagine? Could you fucking imagine?
Or is that like, I don't know, I don't watch Bluey. Is that in Bluey?
Is that in Bluey? Oh my god. I've seen so much. The like discourse on Bluey is top tier. Cause like there's people who love it, and then there's like the backlash, and then there's like other shit. I don't know, man. It's just I don't care about it, but I see just enough of it. That
Yeah.
Right. I have a vague awareness enough about it that it's very amusing.
My thoughts on it is there are two kinds of kids content, which is there's kids content that parents like, and there's kids content that kids like, and I just feel like Bluey is kids content that parents like. Like maybe kids like it too, but that's distinctly different thing.
Yeah.
Than kids stuff that's just.
And it's one of those, it's a thing that crossed over a little, right? Like there's so many people watching this shit that don't have kids and don't want kids.
Sure.
Like nobody was out here watching like Caillou or some shit if they didn't have kids. But Bluey is like,
no one's watching the newer Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends cartoon where they all look like weird babies.
Oh yeah, dude, I did check an episode of that out. It's not watchable. I have to know it's not good. It's not even bad good.
No.
The thing I've seen about Bluey from someone, actually, it was a Northern Line was ranting about it, and after he pointed it out, I can't unsee it because it makes sense. He was like, why is the dad in Bluey always getting the shit beat out of him? Like they're teaching the parents, like it's supposed to be like the kids are learning how to act good, the parents are learning how to parent good, all that shit. But like the dad never gets time for himself. Anytime he tries to take a day off, the kids beg and plead and like beat the piss out of him until he's like, okay, fine, and they do what the kids want to do. He's like, in 10 years this is gonna be what people are like, maybe. I could see it. I could see that shit. The few episodes I've watched of Bluey, like the dad's setting a very high standard. If my kids beating me with a rake and turning the shower to like ice cold while I'm showering.
Is that in Bluey? Is that something that happens in Bluey?
Dude, they fucking the scene he talks about.
I never watched it.
The scene he's like talk. So there's a thing. There's a dude that like takes Northern Lions content and like cuts it and
I'm
edits
just thinking of the Simpsons bit where Bart smashes a chair over Homer while he's in the tub.
He's in the tub.
And Homer's like, "What the hell? Why did she do that?"
There's what was so they were doing. He was like describing this episode, and like I went and checked it out, and it's like a fucking thing. Their kids are doing like they want to do like a little pretend salon day for their parents, right? And the mom gets like the usual salon treatment. Like she gets like the cucumber eyes and like the towel and whatever. And like they're washing her hair or something, like scrubbing her head. And for the dad, they're like, they make him take an ice cold shower. They like lock him in or something and like make him take an icy shower. And they're like, man, what do they put him in? Do they like put him in? They like roll him in flour or something while he's wet. They like tie him upside down on a tree and they're like beating him with rakes or something. Like it's horrible. And like the end of the episode is him like realizing that you got to spend time with your kids or whatever the hell. I'm like, that's not it, dude. If my kid's beating me with a rake, we're gonna have a conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna beat the kid back, but like we're gonna have a talk about why you don't hit daddy with rakes.
That's fine. It's just like The Simpsons.
Yeah, but Simpsons isn't like a masquerading under the guise of good parenting techniques. See, it makes me think
No, but
of...
particularly early on, it did like have like wholesome feel good at the end.
Oh, yeah. No, like they definitely had like there's a lot of
when-
warmth there.
When Homer goes over that fucking canyon on his skateboard and falls into that crater.
Oh, see, when I
Like,
think of
that's an episode about being a better parent.
See, I think of like I don't even know if it's a Treehouse of Horror episode, but it's like Bart's scared of shit and Homer like bursts into his room to show him his new chainsaw and hockey mask.
Mm-hmm.
That shit. It's real good.
That is
It taught me how to be a better sibling. You know? Like before, when I wanted my sister to wake up, I would just like fucking shake her until she woke up. Simpsons taught me that you can just like grab her nose while she sleeps and eventually she'll be like and wake up.
Taught you the classic move of I'm just gonna start rolling my arms around, and if you get hit, it's your fault. Tien's classic attack.
That's that shit's so good. I have seen that. I don't know if I've seen the episode, but I've certainly seen the scene. Good
If you
shit.
get hit, it's your own fault.
Uh-huh.
The Simpsons is apparently a thing that the kids are being exposed to because it's on Disney Plus.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But it's just all there, so they're getting exposed to all the later seasons just like it's one thing.
Yeah. Going through old Simpsons has been on my to-do list for a long time, and I've like poked at it. Never really like took. Though I do like it.
There's a lot of it.
There is a
And it's
lot of
good.
it. Yeah.
We could do that as a podcast one day, I guess.
Someday. Yeah, that'd be solid. My problem is I've seen a lot of like the absolute bangers, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like I want to see the rest of it cuz like I know there's a lot of like even if the episode itself isn't like a complete slam dunk, like there's still some good shit in like every episode. But I just didn't have the drive to do it however many years ago.
That's fair.
Also,
I think it's not till season 4 where it's like every episode's a banger.
well, yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I was just kind of watching through, and like season 1 is fine, but it's a little rough. Just to sit there and like pump episodes.
Sure. I don't have perspective on this.
Yeah, because you just
Well, because I used to watch it. It would be, well, it was on
Yeah.
TV every day, and I
Yeah.
just watched it like 2 episodes every day of my fucking life
See,
until like I was, 20 or something.
see, 2 episodes probably like
Maybe 18.
a sweet spot. Sitting there watching like 8
Yeah,
episodes
yeah.
is
Mhm.
where it gets to be a lot. 2 episodes.
Yeah, it
would
was
be
never
good.
like I've only ever binged it as like a rewatch.
Look.
Like,
I started
because it was just a thing I've watched since I was like a tiny child.
even Ursa Yatsura when I was getting to the end, like 2 episodes a day would have been. If I ever go back through that original series, it's gonna be like, yeah, I'll do like an episode. I'll do like 2 episodes a week or something, and just watch it for 10 years.
Yeah.
But yeah, someday.
Like it's like, if you asked me what my favorite show was when I was like 5, I probably would have told you like it's either Rugrats or The Simpsons.
Man, when I was 5, what the
Or
hell
like
was I
4.
watching when I was
I don't
4
know.
or 5? See, that's the thing. Like, we didn't have a lot of shows because we didn't have like we just had like ABC, NBC, and Fox or whatever, and CBS.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so I just got Saturday morning cartoons. I don't know what my favorite would have been from those. There was probably a hot minute there where it was like Kid Muscle. That Ultraman show. I did like the Ultraman show that was on, like, briefly or whatever. I don't know.
Regular day kids programming had already collapsed.
I
Was in
mean,
its death throes.
I guess I could have watched Simpsons in theory, but it was on too late. Because we went to bed. Our bedtime was like, well, my bedtime as the eldest child was like 8:30.
It's like 5 p.m.
Fuck off, 8:30. I think Simpsons was on like close to that or something on Fox. There wasn't like nobody at school was watching Simpsons because anybody who was watching anything in that sphere was all hyped up on Family Guy. By the time people were watching, like kids at school were watching that shit, it was all Family Guy.
Ugh.
Yeah. And South Park was like totally like my friend was like the only one who fucking watched South Park at all.
I was in on South Park. I had a VHS tape with like 2 episodes of South Park.
I played the games. I played the little kart racing game. I called my brother an ass, and then I got in trouble.
Yeah, it's all about that terrible N64 shooter. That I think was
Yeah,
also on
the
PlayStation.
shooter.
But 4-player multiplayer, baby. N64.
Hell yeah.
There's one level where you could fly around. It was like a zero gravity level.
Nice. We've strayed quite far.
We have strayed. We barely talked about the 90s cartoon.
It was there.
It was there.
It was good.
Yeah. Everyone's talking about that new X-Men 97 that's like kind of a continuation of that show. But I kind of don't care.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that show was good. I just have extremely specific nostalgia for it.
Sure.
And so, like, that fact that not all the voice actors, like Cyclops' voice is different in the new show, I'm like, eh.
Yeah.
Also, it's weirdly, like, burning through comic stories. Like, every episode is, like, some multi-part, is, like, burning through some, like, comic story that had incredible depth and, like, for the sake of, like, one episode of TV. This is just weird. Not since I'm not watching it, I'm just like, what story did they cover this week? Wow, that's wild that they did that in one episode and then moved on.
Yeah. I mean, I haven't even seen the original 97 X-Men, but I'm a big fan of just letting shit die. So I'm like, morally, I'm opposed to the existence of the new one.
Yeah, I don't get why they didn't just make a new. I mean, it's because of nostalgia dollars. That's why they made.
Hell yeah!
I wish they just made a new X-Men cartoon.
They're making a new. What are they making a new thing of? Is it Batman?
New Batman.
New Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, we gotta watch
the Batman the animated series producers are making it, but they're taking the approach of making a new thing.
We gotta watch so much shit.
Some of the ethos. Yes, we have to get back on the DCAU train
before it starts. Yeah.
Yeah. So, here's the question though. Not anytime soon because we have to get back to DCAU. But do you want to do to read the big X-Men run, the Claremont run that comes after Giant Size X-Men and like get to the big stories? Do you have interest?
Not
or would you rather just
really.
do other stuff?
Probably other stuff. Like, I'm down to do more X-Men stuff, but, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the thing is I'm still, like... you mentioned that, I think it was Giant Size when I mentioned it, and you were like, yeah, it's very wordy. Mm-hmm. It was fine, and then I finished that up, and I was good with it. And then I got to the 91 comics. I'm like, this is too many words. but
because also Giant Size was not written by Claremont. Claremont starts on the regular run. He wrote 110. But he didn't actually write Giant Size. He starts the next issue. He takes over.
Yeah. It was a lot of words. And I am reading them in like the worst way possible. Being like a foot and a half away from a laptop screen is not the intended way of taking those in, and it's a little bit miserable.
Yeah. I love my giant iPad where I can put comic book pages on it at full size without having to like.
I'm finally bringing my Surface back. I think, which is like, I mean, it's huge, and it's good. Yeah. It is useless for everything but reading comics. So that's all I do on it.
But as someone who like reading digital comics, like the panel by panel format, I fucking hate it. It doesn't work for me at all. I need to see the full page. Having the full page digitally on a tablet at its correct size was so incredibly worth it to me. That is. I so much more enjoy reading comics now that I have an iPad that's like big enough to display them properly.
Well, and yeah, I mean, it's the thing, especially when we're doing, I mean, because like all of them are pretty much like super good scans and shit for the most part. So like my tablet, the Surface is also like, I think it's 1440p instead of 1080. So shit's like looking crisp. It's juicy. And then because it's touchscreen, I can just fucking do the thing and like zoom in easily. On laptop, it doesn't always zoom in how you want, or it like goes wonky or some shit, or it's a dumb hotkey. But you just zoom in and out. Imagine. So I need to get that back. It's in America right now.
And if you want to read more comics, I'm pushing the. You should read Masonic Goku finally, because we're coming up on it being like half a year since I read that.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
As far as like our next big comic
have-
book thing, I think.
I have been pumping through manga, so
Yeah.
decimated some
But,
series.
But yeah, I think getting back to Batman the Animated Series is next on our list.
Yeah.
Get back to some 90s cartoons that are just fucking better than a lot of the other ones,
Yeah.
frankly.
Well, we have other stuff.
What are we doing here?
We also have Tekken
Yeah, Tekken.
popping up.
Whenever. I'm ready to go whenever on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Salt Circle Podcast, gmail.com, Salt Circle Pod on Twitter, anchor.fm/Salt Circle. We're on YouTube at Salt Circle. I'm on Twitter at Comic Panels.
Hell yeah. I'm not on Twitter still.
Juggernaut!
You're too poor to podcast with me.
Oh no! And I wouldn't even dream of trying. Auf Wiedersehen.